All right, what's up, everybody? Gary and Tammy here with Cvpoolpros with another CV Pool School video. Today we are going to talk about DE filter grids and how to tell when they need to be replaced and some of the things to look for when they go bad. Some of the signs are not obvious, others are. Now, there's your main brand name, which would be Hayward, Jandy, and Pentair. They obviously have their own brand of filter grids for their filters. This is DE filters, in case I didn't say that. DE filters, okay?
I believe you did.
But there's aftermarket ones that are cheaper. And we actually use a lot of the aftermarket ones that are cheaper. One of them is Unicell. Another one is Filber. Another one is Pleatco. And there's one or two other ones out there. And there's probably more than that I don't even know about. But these particular ones that we're going to be showing you today are Pleatco. I'm sorry, they're Filber. Sorry, they're Filbers. Filbers are the ones that our supplier uses the most, so they're the ones we get most of the time. And they work great. They work really well. As long as they fit and they're for the filter, they work fine, okay? So one of the things that we want to show you is we're going to go over a couple different things and what causes, how to know they're bad. One of the things that we want to show you, we're going to tell you how to avoid. One of the things is color. That's wet from here. It was sitting in the water.
No, I thought there was a rip there also.
Yeah, there's right there.
Yeah.
So,
and there's one on the very bottom.
Yeah, that's why I grabbed this.
Yeah.
So the first thing is color. Okay, color makes a big difference. This right here is a shot grid. I mean, this is bad. Bad. Okay, we're going to show you a good one here in a second. This is really bad. We're going to go by color first, then we'll talk about some of the other things. But color first. Now, what causes this? I'm going to tell you exactly what causes this. The first thing is not cleaning the grids for when you close the pool. That's the number one reason that grids get like this, is when companies don't, or personal individuals that own pools, don't clean the grids before they close the pool.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Or if you have a green, black, nasty pool and you're vacuuming it through your system, which is no number one.
You shouldn't be doing that anyway. It can do this. Okay? Now, what happened here? What does this do? Okay, let's get into this. Because a lot of places that won't tell you this. I don't really need these. So what this is actually doing, it's stained. Okay, and as you can see, there's green on these. This came from a black and algae-filled pool is what this came from.
If you look, it would have been the last post.
I don't remember. But anyway, so what happens here is this is a porous material, okay? When this stuff gets on here, it clogs up the pores. And what happens is it lessens the flow through the material. The lessening of that flow causes these to get blocked up sooner than normal, which causes you to have to backwash more often. It causes the pressure in the tank to go higher because it's slowing the water flow down getting through these. And then once you put DE on them, it slows it down even a little bit more. And then you get dirt on top of the DE, it slows it down even more. So you have to backwash, which it's called backwash cycles. It causes your backwash cycles, time between backwashing, to be shorter and shorter and shorter, and it gives less cleaning time.
That's me on, because I saw somebody come on, so I figured I would go on here so I can answer anything.
So the first thing we're going to talk about is the color. Now I'm going to show you this new grid, and you're going to see the difference. So this is old grid, okay?
Of which a company told the customer, your grid is fine.
Yeah, somebody told the customer that grid was good.
You didn't show any of the others?
No, not yet. I want to do one thing at a time. So we're going to show you color right now. Now, I already told you how to keep it from getting this color. One of the main things is make sure you clean the grids when you close the pool. If you have a pool company closing the pool, make damn sure they're cleaning those grids. They're taking those grids out and cleaning them before they close the pool, when they're closing the pool. Then they put them back in and they button everything back up. Clean them at closing. No ifs, ands, or buts, because this can happen over the course of a winter. I've actually seen this happen over the course of a winter. Okay?
Also, if you do back up any disgusting stuff that your pool is black or green, take your grids out and hose them all off and then re-D it.
Re-D-E it. Not re-D it.
Re-D it.
Okay. Here's the difference. This is a brand new one.
Holy shnikes.
See the difference?
See the difference in that.
So you see how this is, you can even see that this is porous, where that looks like it's just one piece of material. Okay, there's your difference. Okay, so that's issue number one. And I'm going to tell you, this right here is the most common issue that we find when people have problems with their DE filter and they're having to backwash a lot. They're getting less and less pressure going through the grids. This is one of the main issues. What?
Did you get your jack from him yet?
No, I told him to hang on to it in case he needs it. Really? Darn it.
I just thought of it because he was...
So anyway, this is the most common thing we see happen to grids, and most of the time, I'm going to tell you what it is. Most of the time, and I hate to say this, but most of the time it's from the customers themselves that are do-it-yourselfers, or pool companies that don't clean them when they close. They sit with shit on them all winter long. The shit freezes and it sticks. It stains. It's what they call staining. But what it's doing is it's clogging the pores. Look at the difference. I mean, duh. These are actually going in a pool tomorrow. These are brand new. These are going in a pool tomorrow that we have. One of our customers needed some. These are going in that pool. These are old ones that we replaced in a pool list last weekend. We put the new ones in. There's actually a picture of that. We put the new ones in that pool last weekend, and these are the old ones. We kept these to do this video, to do this pool school. Now, let's get back to a couple of other issues that we find, okay? One of the other issues we find is holes. There's one right there. See that hole? Not supposed to be a hole there. DE goes right through there and right back into the pool. These were not inspected correctly. When they told the customer that these were good, they didn't know what they were looking for, or they just didn't look. That's one hole there. There's another hole right here. There's another hole in there. I don't think you can really see it. There's another hole there. And there may be other holes in here. Okay? So holes. You have to check these grids. These holes are actually pretty easy to see when you flip the grids upside down to clean them. You can see these holes in the bottom. Okay? Another thing that happens, please give me that. These are very common tabs of today. These go up inside the manifold. These tabs tend to break off. These are actually fine. One of these tabs will break off and it'll also allow DE in, DE through. Okay? We also get holes in here. There's other ones that have holes actually in here. And on this side, you'll get holes worn through here. See how these look like they're sucked to the frame? This is how they're supposed to look. Okay? This is what happens over time.
Also common thing is cracks in the manifold.
Yeah.
That goes
over top of this. You get cracks in the manifold. You get a crack in the manifold. The breather tube in the manifold.
We almost send that in unison.
That'll actually get holes in it or broken. But anyway, these are just some of the things to look for. Now, a recommendation is inspect these. I would inspect these at closing is really when you need to inspect these, because you're taking them apart anyway. Anytime you take the filter apart, you want to inspect these. If you're taking the filter apart, you might as well clean these really good, take them out, clean them really good, inspect the manifold, inspect these, the grids themselves, make sure everything is good. Inspect the stack pipe down inside that the manifold goes over inside the tank. Okay? Just a couple things to look for when you're checking your DE grids. These are very, very important. If these are bad or have holes in them or whatever, or they look like this, it's going to affect how your DE filter system runs. Okay, it's also going to affect the clarity of the pool. Right? It's also going to affect the amount of time that you're going to get filtration. It's going to affect the running of the pool. Period. Making your pump work harder because your pump's trying to push pressure, and this is not allowing as much pressure to go through the filter tank as normal. Okay. What else did I want to say? What do you have? You have anything to add?
Also, the ribs themselves,
Oh, the framing.
the framing themselves,
That tends to break. It gets
sometimes
very
will break
brittle.
as well.
Gets very brittle with all the chemicals running through it, and then sitting through the hot and the cold with the weather. They get very brittle and they break easy over time. So yeah, be careful of that too.
Good grid. Not a good grid.
Not good grid. That's exactly what I was going to say. Actually. Not good grid. I mean, duh. Bad grid on the bottom. You got a hole, and show them what that one looks like. You can see where that has no hole in the bottom of it. See how it's nice and flat and straight?
And
no hole.
If you're installing these on a sunny day, get out in the sun, get some sun underneath there. Use it as shade.
There is another thing that I want to talk about real quick. On the top of the stack pipe, when you pull these off, there's a manifold that goes over top of these. We don't have one here. There's a manifold that goes on top of these. These actually lock into the top of a manifold. These are your most common. Those are really old, so let's go with these. These are the most common. They lock into a manifold. They only go in one way, and they all go in. You have to see it to understand it.
Maybe we'll have to do a video on that.
When we do Brandon's.
When we're not pressed for time.
So, the manifold, these only sit in one way. They could go one of two ways, and one way is wrong. Plain and simple. But when you have these in the manifold, when you go to set that manifold down on the top of that stack pipe, there's an O-ring on the top of that stack pipe. I'm going to tell you something right now that some people may argue with me on, but I know it to be a fact. The O-ring on the top of that is said that it is an absolute must, or DE is going to go back into the pool. I call bullshit, because we have customers right now that don't have that O-ring, and there is no DE getting back into their pool. So that is actually not true. That O-ring, we have a couple customers right now, 2 or 3 customers right now that they needed the O-ring and we just forgot. We forget. We get there, we put it on. No DE gets in even without that O-ring there. So that O-ring is not that important. Okay? And
the wind is actually moving your phone.
I know. You can't miss the O-ring when you take the and I'll tell you another thing that happens with these O-rings. When you take them off, there's a lot of times that those O-rings get pushed out of the as they get older, they expand, they stretch. They get pushed out of the channel, and they actually get kinked and blah, 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 and they don't fit right anyway. So when you go to take it off, the O-ring is actually cracked or ripped or comes out and falls to the bottom of the tank. Those O-rings are not that important. Those O-rings really, and I'll tell you what, those O-rings actually make it a pain in the ass sometimes to get the manifold to seat correctly, because you got to lube the O-ring. You don't have to, but it's easier if you put a bead of like Magic Lube or O-ring lube. Don't ever use Vaseline on any of your rubber seals. You shouldn't use Vaseline on any rubber at all. It dries it out. But anyway, that O-ring sitting at the top there, it's about that far down from the bottom. You can't miss it. It's a black O-ring. Is really not that important. You really don't need it. DE is not going to get back in if you don't have it. We have customers right now that have DE pools that don't have it, and there's no DE getting back in their pools. Okay, I was told from the first pool company I ever worked for, I was told you had to have that O-ring in there. I worked for another larger pool company that said it's not needed. And when I started changing out grids and stuff, we have customers that we just forgot. We put the grids back in and no DEs getting back in. There's no O-ring. So those O-rings aren't that big of a deal. The breather on top of the manifold.
It looks like a little microphone.
Well, no, they're the old ones. The new ones just are a piece that comes right out. When we get a manifold, we'll have to do another one to show you what the manifold is. But it's just a little piece that comes out the top. Some of them are short, some of them are longer. They have this material on them. The newer ones do. The older ones, she's right. They look like a little microphone on top of a rubber, not a rubber, like a
stem.
It's a tube. It's like a tube, and it's
like
got
an IV tube.
Almost like an IV tube. Yeah, she's right. It's almost like an IV tube. It's like soft PVC, but it's not really PVC. It's like almost like a vinyl type tube.
Like a flexi tube.
And at the top of it literally looks like the top of a microphone, and it sits on there. If that is broken, or the tube that comes out, the newer ones, is broken at the top or has holes in it, DE will go through that.
As a matter of fact, it looks like your old time microphones from like
in
the
back in
50s.
The day. Yeah. Some of the newer manifolds, aftermarket manifolds, actually don't have a breather tube at all. The breather is built right into the manifold. They're awesome. I love those because there's nothing to break. All right. Also, most of the manifolds have feet sticking out the top of them. The reason for that is so you can turn them upside down and you don't break the tube, the breather tube. If you turn them upside down, that's how you put the grids in. That's how I'm doing it now. All right. That's really about it. I just wanted to let you guys know the difference between good grids and bad grids and some of the things to look for. All right. Not good grid. I mean, the difference is unbelievable. All right.
And knowing that a pool company said, "Oh, these are okay," is astonishing.
Yeah.
I am floored.
And it was a nationally known pool company that told her that. This was a customer we just did. Nationally known pool company that told her that. And they also told her, say this.
To run
See
the
this?
system with black water going through it. And
but they also told her, when she said she didn't think it was running right, instead of replacing these, they told her these were fine. You know what they told her? Oh, the filter system's probably just old. The whole thing should be replaced.
Yeah, that's right.
Can't make this shit up. All right? So, anyway.
I would love to be able to tell you that I make this shit up, but we don't.
No.
Straight out of the customer's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Everybody have a good day. If you need anything, you know how to get a hold of us. Cvpoolpros@gmail.com or text 610-780-3614. You can contact us for whatever you need. Let us know, in-ground and above. And we'll see you on the next one. Later.